microbiomes, which are the ecosystem of around 100 trillion healthy bacteria in our intestines, are varied, and frankly 100 trillion is a huge population. So generally, probiotics that you take should be at least in the population size of billions. How to choose a probiotic. Hey everybody, welcome back to Dr. Ashley, your go-to channel for everyday holistic health for the times we live in, also known as eco-medicine. Consider hitting the subscribe button to stay updated on the latest health tips. For those of you out there who have been told you should take a probiotic, but are confused how to choose one, tune into this video for some easy tips, and know that you are not alone. I want to note here that for many people with SIBO, which is small intestinal bowel overgrowth, you should not randomly start taking a probiotic. In this case, your illness needs to be treated, and probiotics can be a slippery slope because they can sometimes cause bloating and make people with this condition feel worse. Note, some people call SIBO. There are multiple terms, but it is the same illness. Also, if you get symptoms like constipation or too much loose stool or even moodiness with a probiotic, it might not be the right one. Now, before we discuss probiotics, I want to mention that eating them in the diet in the form of fermented foods like sauerkraut and kimchi and yogurts, and note, with yogurt, there's so many varieties now. There's coconut and cashew and almond yogurt, as well as sheep and goat. It's a very good way to get in probiotics, but it needs to be done daily and regularly, which is so hard for so many people. So now let's talk about probiotic supplements. First of all, our microbiomes, which are the ecosystem of around 100 trillion healthy bacteria in our intestines, are varied, and frankly 100 trillion is a huge population. So generally, probiotics that you take should be at least in the population size of billions. And this usually comes in what they call colony-forming units, or CFU, and that's what you'll see on the back of the probiotic label. A minimum of 10 billion CFU is needed for adults, and honestly, many people tolerate and do well with 50 billion. For people with autoimmune conditions who do not have SIBO or SIBO, 100 billion or more may even be needed. And there are delivery systems in some brands of probiotic that allow for better survival through the stomach acid to arrive into the intestines. The most common and best tolerated species of probiotics are LACTOBACILLUS and BIFIDOBACTERIUM. Importantly, LACTOBACILLUS tends to live in the intestines, and BIFIDOBACTERIUM tends to live in the colon. In the world of LACTOBACILLUS, PLANTARUM is great for IBS, often well tolerated, and can help protect the gut lining, and does seem to survive well even for people who are on antibiotics. It's also great for any overgrowth of yeast, which can happen for dietary reasons or antibiotics. So PLANTARUM is a great choice, and Americans are generally very low in it. LACTOBACILLUS ACIDOPHILUS is a very well-known one because it's often given to women who have an overgrowth of yeast. But it's also been shown to be great for reduction in inflammation in the gut, good for the immune system, and good for people with irritable bowel and allergies. Lactobacillus rhamnosus is another very common, very well-studied strain that can be put in many probiotics. And it's been shown to be good to support mood, and can also be good for any kind of diarrhea associated with antibiotic use. Now on to Bifidobacterium. Just very quickly, Bifidobacterium support and reduce inflammation in the large intestine. So having a colonization of Bifidobacterium in the large intestine is really vital for health. Many of you may have heard of Saccharomyces. This is actually a yeast-based probiotic. It's very common in kombuchas. It's particularly used for short-term for diarrheal illnesses in kids, and it's been well studied for that. In general, this one's used on a short-term basis. STREP THERMOPHILUS, this probiotic actually can help with lactose intolerance. It's very supportive to the immune system, and it's good for inflammation. Now let's quickly talk about my recommendations for probiotics. I always get one with varied strains of both the Lactobacillus, Bifidobacterium, and possibly also Strep thermophilus. if you have had a stool test that specifically tells you what bacteria you are low in, definitely get a probiotic with those strains in them. But I would still get one that's varied, at least with 10 to 12 different strains in general. Number 2, get a professional brand that's third-party tested with at least 25 to 50 billion CFU. Remember, the probiotic has to pass stomach acid, so not all probiotics will survive to get into the intestine. There are, however, many biodelivery systems to help get the probiotics into the intestine. 3, I personally tend to avoid Saccharomyces in daily probiotic use because it is yeast-based and some people do develop an allergy reaction over time to yeast, but it is very well tolerated for some people as well. Hopefully these quick tips have helped you to look at probiotics in a new light and not get too stressed out when you're walking down the aisle of the health food store. This is Dr. Ashley. Thank you for joining. Let me know if you have any questions and subscribe for more health tips and tricks. Thank you.